that pretty much sums up the end of that game. Anyways, welcome back to the line change. This is our game recap, and man, that's, you know, don't even really have to say much to understand that. Canucks were taking on the Blues tonight. Obviously, very big wild card implications when it came to this game. Let's go ahead and go over it. First period, there were no goals in the first period. This is now the third game that I've essentially missed the majority of. I actually ended up having to go to the hospital. My wife sprained her wrist pretty badly, so I had to go pick her up and go check on her. So that is why I missed the majority of this game again. I did my best to watch as much as I could and listen to as much as I could. I missed, for the most part, the first period. Managed to catch some of the second, and then I managed to catch more of the third period. But starting off with the first period, as I mentioned, no goals in the first period. The Canucks ended up having a really good first shift in this game, and then they were unable to get into the offensive zone and really get any shots on goal. They were severely outshot in this first period by the Blues. Hronek ended up taking an interference penalty. Penalty kill was able to come up big once again, which has been a bright spot for this team, as we keep mentioning over the last month. The final shots in the period ended up being 12-3 in favor of St. Louis. So again, as I mentioned, the Canucks only managed to get 3 shots in the first period. Obviously not a good start for them. You'd like to see more shots right out of the gate. Just seemed like St. Louis was really controlling the game in the first period, which had Canuck fans up in arms, obviously. Moving forward to the second period, Bolduc scores his 13th of the season at 15 minutes and 47 seconds, assisted by Sundqvist and Joseph. It appeared to have deflected off of Quinn Hughes' stick, which is a tough break for the Canucks and tough break for Hughes as well. Canucks did start getting the puck on net more in the second period, had some chances. Lankinen came up with some really big saves during this game as well, really standing on his head and essentially kept the Canucks in this game. The final shots in the period were 9 apiece between the two teams. After 40 minutes, the shots were 21-12 in favor of St. Louis. So once again, Lankinen was getting peppered with shots, and he was coming up big in some key situations for the Canucks. Moving forward to the third period, this is where the most entertaining bit of the game was. Lots of goals in this third period. The third period was, I would definitely say, more entertaining than the second or the first. Kiefer Sherwood scores his 15th of the season, a minute and 11 seconds into the third period, assisted by Hronek and Marcus Pettersson. Great goal from Sherwood, and it's of course great to see Woody get on the score sheet once again. He's been as I keep mentioning in our recap videos, he's been a great signing for the Canucks, and he's, as we've mentioned before, become a huge fan favorite. And then Brock Besser scores his 21st of the season at 6 minutes and 35 seconds, assisted by Höglander and Elias Pettersson. So Besser, once again, getting on the score sheet, back-to-back games now. This is great for Besser after that 12-game goal drought. Seems like he's really starting to hit his stride, and he's picked a really great time to do so as well. Unfortunately, that lead for the Canucks did not last very long, only lasted a couple of minutes, as Tyler Tucker scores his third of the season at 9 minutes and 28 seconds, assisted by Shen. This was a quick shot off the faceoff. Lankinen probably wanted that one back, as it looked a little soft going in, but it also may have deflected off of DeBrusque, and he also may have been screening Lankinen inadvertently. So Lankinen probably definitely wants that one back, and if he does make the save there, could be a completely different game. Holloway scores his 23rd of the season at 9 minutes and 52 seconds. So less than a minute later, the Blues score again, assisted by Kyrou and Tucker. So Tyler Myers made a bonehead play on this goal, which allowed a 2-on-1 from the Blues, and Holloway is able to bury it. Once again, terrible play by Myers. We've spoken very highly of him for the most of the season. He's played really well, but this was a terrible play and decision on Myers' part, and it led to St. Louis getting the go-ahead goal, and it very well could have cost the Canucks the game. But when in doubt, when you need a big-time goal, count on Brock Besser, as Besser scores his 22nd of the season at 19 minutes and 56 seconds. So with seconds left in the game, Canucks down by 1, Brock Besser comes up big, and he ties this one up. Assisted by Elias Pettersson and Hughes. So Pettersson, we mentioned he assisted on Besser's first goal, extends his point streak to 6 games, and then he pitches in on the second Brock Besser goal. Beautiful pass to Brock Besser, who winds up and slaps it Jordan Binnington to tie the game. This put a whole lot of life for Canucks fans, as Canucks Twitter was buzzing when Besser scored this goal. It's a huge goal for the Canucks and for Brock Besser. That's now back-to-back games. He's got 2 goals. So really great to see Besser coming up big in these last couple games, considering all the noise around him. The final shots in the period were 5 apiece. So not a whole lot of shots in this third period between 2 teams, but the Canucks scoring 3 goals on 5 shots in this period was big. Moving over to overtime. Not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to overtime, unfortunately. It was a really bad turnover by Elias Pettersson that led to the St. Louis goal. There was also a bad line change from Jake DeBrusk, which I don't know why DeBrusk did this, considering it's 3-on-3 and it's not like it's 5-on-5. It was a bonehead move by DeBrusk. Not something we say very often when it comes to Jake. But bad line change on his part, bad turnover by Elias Pettersson, and it leads to Broberg scoring his 7th of the season at 3 minutes and 42 seconds, assisted by Schenn and Holloway. And that's the Canucks end up losing 4-3 in overtime. They did gain a point. However, they really needed that extra point, and they gave it away to St. Louis, who is now above them above the playoff bar. They've leapfrogged the Canucks. Canucks, as of right now, are not in the playoffs. Final shots in this overtime, 3-1 in favor of St. Louis. Canucks only had 1 shot in this overtime, which you hate to see. Final shots in the game were 29-18 in favor of St. Louis. Moving on to our post-game notes, as we just mentioned, Canucks managed to get at least a point. They needed 2. They only got 1. So therefore, they are now below the playoff bar, as I mentioned. St. Louis pulls ahead of them. We mentioned the really bad turnover by Elias Pettersson, and the bad line change by Jake DeBrusk proved costly, as it essentially both those mistakes cost the Canucks the game. After Pettersson was having a good night, that's one bad thing that Pettersson did tonight. He played absolutely great. We mentioned earlier about the terrible play by Myers on the 3-2 goal. Again, another costly mistake. Canucks were absolutely horrid in the faceoff circle tonight. Let's take a look at these faceoff percentage numbers. Elias Pettersson, 45%. Pius Suter, 15%. Bluger, 17%. The only person that was decent on that faceoff was Neil Zaman, who was at 50%. So the Canucks need to get better at their faceoffs, because they were absolutely horrid tonight, and it could have very well led to this loss tonight. They needed to be better in the faceoff dot, and they just need to be better. Canucks are now 1 point behind St. Louis for the second wildcard spot. The Flames are 1 point behind the Canucks. Utah are 5 points behind the Canucks. So again, this playoff wildcard race is heating up between those 3 teams, or 4 teams rather, with St. Louis involved, is really picking up. Canucks have a big game in New York on Saturday morning. Note a 10 a.m. start. This is the big Petey versus Miller game that everyone's been anticipating ever since the trade. Moving on to a couple ice times. Quinn Hughes played 30 minutes and 18 seconds in this game. So he played over 30 minutes, And he looked a little rugged in that third period, as well as the overtime. He looked like he was tired, and I can see why. I played over 30 minutes. Elias Pettersson played 20 minutes and 32 seconds. Those are the only two ice times that I really looked at or took note of. Moving forward to our player of the game. Tonight's line change player of the game is none other than Brock Besser, who had 2 goals, 4 shots, and an ice time of 19 minutes and 56 seconds. So Brock just under 20 minutes in this game, and he came up big for the Canucks with that clutch tying goal, something he's done in the past, something he did in the playoffs last year, and this must have felt really good for Brock, and I'm happy for him. Unfortunately, there's still that chance he may walk at the end of the season when he becomes a UFA. Still holding out hope that the Canucks can maybe re-sign him or offer him something, but Besser is starting to turn things around at the right time. And that's going to do it for this recap video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of this game, some of the costly mistakes that the Canucks made that proved to essentially maybe cost them the game. You know, everyone was going crazy after Besser managed to tie it in that last few seconds. And it's just a real shame for the game to end the way it did on that costly mistake by both Pettersson and DeBrusk after Besser had managed to tie it. And it would have been a real comebacker if the Canucks had been able to win it in either overtime or a shootout. But alas, Canucks do get 1 point. They needed 2, and now they need to win against the Rangers on Saturday if they want to stay in the race, as they can't afford to leave a whole lot of points left on the table, as they are now 14 games left in the season. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the line change, go ahead and join the rest of our subscribers. We just recently surpassed 50 subscribers, which blows my mind, as that I believe yesterday I was at 6 and now I'm at 50. So thank you very much for those of you that have subscribed. Follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as TikTok. All the links to our social media pages are in the description down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.